You don't have any Stephen King?
You've got the shinin.
I mean shiny.
Shh! You wanna get sued?
It's just your fate. You're that geeky Stephen King kid. There's one of you in every school.
Okay, that's him, that's Cujo, that's Cujo.
I was thinking along the lines of no TV and no beer make Homer something.
Oh, crazy.
Don't mind if I do!
Hello and welcome to Tower Junkies, presented by ObsessiveViewer.com. Tower Junkies is a podcast celebrating the work of Stephen King, hosted by two lifelong constant readers. We do non-spoiler and spoiler reviews of King's published work and take a critical look at his film and television adaptations as well. We also discuss the latest King news and check in with each other on our ongoing King obsessions. It's the podcast where all things serve the King. You can find more of our work at TowerJunkiesPod.com. You can also like the Facebook page at Facebook.com/TowerJunkiesPod and follow us on all the social medias in the show notes of this episode. And if you'd like to support what we do here, you can become a patron at Patreon.com/ObsessiveViewer for a ridiculous amount of bonus content spread across all of ObsessiveViewer.com's various podcasts. You can also donate to the show at BuyMeACoffee.com/ObsessiveViewer. And recently on the Patreon, I did an immediate reaction in the car recording of my thoughts on the life of Chuck, which we're going to be reviewing here shortly. And I also posted an Obsessive Viewer companion episode where I do a full retrospective on the Final Destination franchise, Final Destinations 1 through 5. And I also did a special recording on my thoughts on seeing 28 Days Later at the Alamo Drafthouse, and a special Bring It Back screening in the lead up to 28 Years Later. And finally, I did an immediate reaction recording for Clown in a Cornfield, where I detailed my very weird experience being in a movie theater while it was storming so heavily that they shut down the movies and had us shelter in place for about 20 minutes. So
Weak.
yes. So more info on that on Patreon at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer. I'm one of your hosts, Matt Hurt, and today on the show, Tiny and I are reviewing the new movie from Stephen King and the heart and soul of Mike Flanagan, The Life of Chuck. And joining us on this episode is our dear friend and host of the always phenomenal and insightful podcast, The Year of Underrated Stephen King, as well as her own Patreon, The Danse Macabre with Kim C. Welcome back to the show, the one and only Kim C. And also, hi, Tiny. How have you guys been?
Hi, guys. It's so great to see you and to be here with you on Tower Junkies.
Yes, so great to have you back. And yeah, Tiny, how are you doing? I just, you have not spoken yet. I'm so sorry.
That's totally fine. You run the show, man. I'm just happy to be here. I'm excited to talk about this. So yeah, I'm glad to be here, man. It's been way too long.
It has been. It has been way, way too long. And I do want to say thank you to everyone that listened to my episode with Eric Vespi. I had a blast talking to him in the last episode, and I'm hoping to get more episodes going here soon. I think Tiny and I were talking about doing Salem's Lot. So we'll see. And then, of course, we've got a bunch of stuff, but I'll talk about that in Stephen King news. But basically, welcome. Kim, how have things been going over at the Year of Underrated Stephen King? And could you tell our listeners who already know everything about your show as it is far superior to what we do here, where can they find you and what have you been up to?
Oh, you sweet angel. Thank you, Matt. I am a university fiction teacher who started a solo Stephen King podcast all by my lonesome in 2020. And I've made some amazing friends along the way, such as Matt and Tiny. So this year, we have really been getting into the grit of the Dark Ladies of King.
Nice.
So I, for the first time this year, read Dolores Claiborne, Gerald's Game. We are rereading, we already read Rose Matter. We reread Misery. So I am spending some time in the 90s, which is a pothole of mine in my King reading I needed to fill. So this is really good. And then I'm currently in the middle of Never Flinch. So I'm excited to have my episode on that. It's going well thus far. It's nice to be back with Holly Gibney and the gang. And at this point in King's career, whatever he wants to write, I'm here for it. I'm into it, whatever it is.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I unfortunately have not started Never Flinch yet, but I own it. I'm going to start it soon. But I've got a lot of irons in the fire. So I'm glad that you're enjoying it, though. Yeah.
It is fun, and I'm trying to do stuff on Patreon as well. I'm getting, oh my gosh, there's so much to do, guys. We've got the Institute coming out. My goodness. We have Life of Chuck stuff. We have a Welcome to Derry. We have so much in the cook pot this year, y'all.
Yeah, so. The Long Walk is coming.
Oh my God, the Long Walk.
Yeah.
We be busy.
Absolutely. Tiny, have you started Never Flinch yet?
I have not. My reading is so bad lately. Still, adjusting to fatherhood and stuff, trying to find time for that. And we're also paying. This is going to be the year we pay off debt, and so I've cut out a lot of expenditures, which includes Audible.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So I have not had Audible for 5-6 months.
Honestly.
Which is a bummer.
Honestly, I haven't had it for about a year. I've just been using Libby, which I don't think your library has access to, or did you figure that out? We talked about this like 2 years ago, I think.
I can't remember at this point.
Yeah. But
I don't really have time for audiobooks, actually. If I read anything, I go with a physical book now. Like a boomer or something.
Yeah, I need to just go to the pool, take Never Flinch, and just knock it out. But I also have so many other projects I need to do. I haven't even finished my Patreon for You Like It Darker, which I feel terrible about. But yeah, anyway,
no one feel bad. It's chaos out there.
Yes.
And, just put one foot in front of the other, gents, and we do our best.
Exactly.
Not fit for beast nor man out there.
Nope.
Correct.
Nope. But Kim, where can people find you online?
I am pretty much in the same areas that Tower Junkies and Obsessive Viewer are. Nice. So you can find me on all of the podcast platforms. Spotify is one that I'm directly affiliated with, so you can pretty much easily find me there. Apple Podcasts, I do have a YouTube channel as well, so feel free to plug in over there. And I say I would frequent Instagram the most if you would like to say hi to me there. I Irish goodbye'd my ex account, so I'm still on there, but I won't answer you. So try other means. I also don't go on Facebook very often. It's still up and running, but if you would like to say hi, underratedsk@gmail.com. I check it very often, and probably Instagram and or Threads would be the best place for updates, and Blue Sky too. I do have a Blue Sky account. Nice. So if you want to reach out directly, that would be wonderful. But you should be able to find the podcast and the Patreon in all the regular spots.
Nice. Awesome. And of course, links to all of this will be in the show notes of the episode, as always. But today on the show, we are going to be reviewing The Life of Chuck. But before that, we've got Stephen King news, check-ins, and all that, which we've kind of handled a little bit here, but we'll dig into that in a bit. But it has been a while since we had like a regular episode. It's been a while since Tiny and I have not recorded a podcast together since the year in review episode of Obsessive Viewer in January.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That's rough.
So
that's a shot to the heart.
It is. I wanted to say, and you're to blame, but I didn't want to say like you're to blame. I was making a joke, but like
double shot to the heart.
Nonsense. No. But yeah, we're all busy little boys and girls, and as is Stephen King, who has some news that we'll talk about. That's a good transition, right?
That works.
Yeah. So Stephen King news. We're gonna go ahead and do Stephen King news. check-ins, and then review the movie. For Stephen King news, we already talked a little bit about Never Flinch, which came out on May 27th. Of course, it's the new Holly Gibney novel. It is out now. Kim is halfway through it. I have not started it. Tiny has not started it. So, but it's out there, and eventually it will be covered on Tower Junkies. But much sooner it will be covered on the Year of Underrated Stephen King. So go subscribe over there. And we also talked about it a little bit, but The Institute is coming to MGM Plus. They announced the release date is going to be July 13th. It's going to be, I believe, an 8-episode series. I don't know if it's a limited series or if it's going to potentially have multiple seasons, but it is going to be on MGM Plus starting July 13th. There is a trailer out there, but I ran out of time and didn't get a chance to watch the trailer. How do you guys feel about The Institute, and are you excited about the show?
I'm not super excited about it. I'm going to watch it for sure. If it wasn't high on my list of adaptations I wanted to see from Stephen King, what worries me the most is the kids. Because a lot of kids suck as actors. Full stop. But you get the occasional gem. We'll talk about a couple today. So hopefully they found some good ones for the show. And, as always, I want it to be great, and I hope it is. But we'll see.
Nice. Kim, how about you?
I watched the trailer today, and I was excited about casting. They look pretty solid. It's Mary Louise Parker. I think, pardon me. I think she makes a solid Mrs. Sigsbee. I really like who they picked to play Luke and the little ear monitor piece. So I was getting a little nerdy on the first trailer viewing, but aesthetics take me very far. Like Matt knows this. If you have good costumes, I'm gonna follow along. Probably more than I should, because the aesthetics of things lull me and lure me probably more than they should. So things were looking cool. But I too share the same concerns as Tiny. I am nervous about the script. I am nervous how they're going to adapt it. And with the actual novel, The Institute, I liked it a whole lot, but I don't know if I loved it. I think it was a fun 80s kids in danger throwback. But I remember walking away from the novel being totally fine. It was done and feeling like everything was resolved. I am curious if there are Dark Tower tie-ins, but everything I read at that time was like, maybe ? It didn't seem very definitive. So, I do have some concerns, but it looks cool.
Yeah, nice. Like I said, I haven't watched the trailer yet. Here's the thing. I don't like that it's on MGM Plus.
What is that, guys? What is that one?
Well, it used to be Epix, which was the streaming service that has that had whatever the show was with Adrian Brody based on Jerusalem's Lot. What was the name of that? Chapelwaite, yes. So there is precedent for solid Stephen King on MGM Plus, nay Epix, because I liked Chapelwaite. But this and so those misgivings aside, I'm excited for this adaptation because I really liked the novel. And the showrunner, or at least the director of the show, is Jack Bender, who did some very good episodes of Lost and Game of Thrones. Yeah, so he's definitely. He also did episodes of Mr. Mercedes, and Under the Dome. Yeah, but. Yeah, so we'll see. But new Stephen King is always welcome. Yeah.
Same.
Sweet.
Yeah. The next piece of news that I have is that Mike Flanagan's Carrie TV adaptation for Amazon has rounded out its cast. There's been a slew of casting announcements for it. That is going to be the 8-episode series. So he also said something about how it's not going to be like the other adaptations, which I welcome. And I'm curious how that's going to be. But basically, the cast, I mean, there's a bunch of people, but a lot of, Mike Flanagan mainstays. So let's see, we've got Kate Siegel, Michael Trucco, Katie Sackhoff, Rahul Kohli, and other names that peek out. The big one that I saw earlier was Samantha Sloyan. Also Matthew Lillard is going to be in it, and Amber Midthunder. I'm just reading names anyway. Samantha Sloyan is going to be Margaret White, and
Ooh.
Yes,
perfect.
And that's the thing. Like, I saw people like people are gonna people on the internet, but like that is the most, after her role in Midnight Mass, which Kim and I reviewed on Obsessive Viewer, so check that out. But after her role in Midnight Mass, like her being Margaret White in Carrie is the most obvious casting decision and the best casting decision. Like, yes. She is gonna nail it. She's like the perfect actor for that role. So I'm excited to see what comes of that. Yeah.
Her being cast in that role is like Clint Eastwood being cast as Roland Deschain.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
I mean, perfect.
100%. Oh yeah.
Literally couldn't be better.
Yep. Yeah. Well said.
Not 90-year-old Clint Eastwood like now, but like, right? like peak Eastwood in the 70s or something.
Yeah. Yep.
Perfect.
Yep.
Anyways.
Yeah, so I can't wait. Obviously, I don't know when it's going to come out, but it's moving along. And like Mike Flanagan, man, he has so many things. Just like, I saw a headline a couple of days ago that was something like, oh yeah, his Exorcist movie is definitely not going to hit its release date of like 2027 or something because of like something going on or whatever. And like in that moment, I was like, oh yeah, he's attached to do an Exorcist movie. Like, okay, I completely forgot about that.
I did too. Oh my gosh, he's so busy.
Yep. But yeah, more power to him. But he also did recently give what Bloody Disgusting has said is a promising update on the Dark Tower series adaptation. So I'm just going to read this quick quote that he told comicbook.com in a chat, apparently. Mike Flanagan said, "It's not that I've put it down, it's just that the thing is so big, it's like building an oil tanker. We've been moving it forward this whole time. It's just that's how big it is. It's constantly in the works, and you better believe as often as you guys may want to ask about it, Stephen King is asking me about it more, and I'm not going to let him down." Which that fills me with, well, I have hope that he's going to get it off the ground no matter what. Like, he's the one to do this. He is the person for the Dark Tower. But just knowing that Stephen King has that active interest and is pestering him about it as much as we are, that fills me with hope. So, yeah.
It's so exciting, guys.
It is. It is.
And if there's anything you want him to take his time with,
yes,
this, like, you can't rush art. That is a classic tale as old as time, and that is super applicable to this. So this I think it's a good thing in my opinion.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, he could just rush out a product of like an 83-minute long movie that kind of takes bits and pieces from all of the books, and he could do that. That should be fine.
I love how that was what inspired your guys' podcast.
Yes.
Right.
The hate was so overflowing.
It was so, that is such, it is, I will hand that movie this. It is our Tower Junkie podcast origin story.
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like when I sat down and I noticed that, like, oh, we have 5 hours worth of audio of talking about the Dark Tower movie for like Obsessive Viewer and just outside of Obsessive Viewer. Yeah, okay, it's time. Let's start a Stephen King podcast. So yeah.
No regrets.
Nope, none whatsoever. So that's it for news. Any other thoughts on that, you guys? Anything you want to talk about any of those news pieces, or do you want to go to check-ins?
Kim, are you looking forward to the Carrie adaptation at all? I'm curious.
Oh, great question, Tiny. Yes, because it's Flanagan and I will watch anything that man does.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's this lingering, nagging thing in the back of my mind, like, oh, Carrie, like it's been done many times. There's a couple of weird sequels floating around. Brian De Palma's film is iconic. It's iconic in pop culture. And so I'm curious why, I think I'm like, there's so many other King works we could work on.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, I snap out of it and I'm like, wait a minute. Carrie's a touchstone. It really is a cornerstone. It's a tremendous work. It's still timely. It's still a powerful story. And I hope that they go into Carrie's family history more, because as you guys know from the novel, there's a lot of witchy woo, supernatural, genealogical bloodlines. I think her grandma had powers. And so there's a lot to say. And I think no matter what, Flanagan's going to make it incredible. But yeah, it's weird. It's definitely like a 75-25. 75 super excited, and 25 like, okay, I guess.
Yep.
And yeah.
Matt and I talked about it a little bit already, and like I'm like it's mixed emotions, because I had the exact same reaction you do. Like, do we need a fourth adaptation of Carrie? I don't think we need it. I think, but having said that, all three adaptations that I've seen, I've enjoyed at least some aspects of each one of them. And none of them were perfect. And if anyone's going to make a perfect one, it's going to be Mike Flanagan. So, like you said, I'm going to watch it, and I'm excited for it to an extent. But if I never would have said, "Oh, let's do a Carrie adaptation," even if it is Mike Flanagan. I would have said, "No, let's do something else." But we'll just sit back and enjoy it, as I'm sure we'll have no choice but to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's going to be good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's kind of where I'm at with it. Like, in terms of, like, Mike Flanagan clearly, no pun intended, has the keys to the kingdom. Like, he is our guy to adapt King. And like, he's made, maybe this will be interesting specifically because he has embarked on this journey of adapting King, and adapting like the most like unadaptable King. Like the way that he just hits every single time, the most just like mind-bendingly hard to adapt material. It's kind of, it'll be interesting to see him tackle Carrie, which I'm sure he will do with a bunch of artistic flair that has not been seen yet in a Carrie adaptation. But it will be interesting to see how he adapts a story that's been adapted to death basically at this point. So I think it'll be an interesting change up. But I think Tiny told me this before, but like I'll echo what he said to me off mic at some point. I'd rather have revival.
Yes.
Yeah.
Revival.
He needs,
Preach, guys. Yes.
I do hope there's a moment. I've wanted to see this when they made the most recent adaptation with Chloe Grace Moretz. I want to see when Carrie has the big freak out at prom. I want her to do a full Darth Vader where she like levitates someone in the air and just crushes them with her force into like a ball of flesh and blood, and it just falls to the floor, which is disgusting, but freaking amazing. I mean, I have no idea if that'll happen, but that would be so cool.
Mm-hmm. Leave it to Flanagan to do that. He will. Yeah. Oh yeah.
He's not necessarily known for his gore though, so
he can get in there.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. So
I hope I'm with you. I'm so like, it's got to be bloody. Kill them all, Carrie.
Yep.
Word.
Oh yeah. But yeah, let's go into Stephen King check-ins if you guys are ready. Check-ins. I have none. I own Never Flinch, as I said before, but I haven't started it yet. Yeah, I don't really have any Stephen King check-ins. A friend of mine did gift me a Stephen King Funko Pop, so that was nice. So I'll check in with that. Yeah. What are your guys' Stephen King check-ins, if anything? What have you been up to with Stephen King?
So I don't have much either. I stupidly started reading Salem's Lot the first week of May.
Oh, okay.
And May is like Christmas time in Speedway, Indiana. So that was dumb. And I read like 30 or 40 pages, and I am still at like 30 or 40 pages. So I'm going to pick it up soon, probably vacation or in the next few weeks.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll keep going on that. It's awesome. I haven't read it. Gosh, I think Matt and I were still working together. That was probably
at least
15 years ago last time I read it.
Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. Salem's Lot's one of those like audiobooks that I would put on in the background while working. Yeah. So I'm very, very familiar with it.
Nice.
Yeah. Kim, how about you? Check-ins?
Yeah, remind me what a Stephen King check-in is,
Oh,
guys. I'm having a brain blip.
Oh, no, you're good. Just anything that you have, any Stephen King related thing that you've done lately or been involved with in some capacity. Like how's your book club?
Oh, this is a great question. I've been pretty healthily plugged in, gents.
Nice.
So we just finished for book club the reread of Misery, which it was my second time reading it, and it's so incredible, that book. But it also makes me feel like I want to die, and so it was really hard to pull myself out. I waited until the very last second to read the book, and then I marathon blasted through it in 72 hours, because that's how I have to do it, because it's such an intense experience, and it's one that I don't like to revisit. But anyway, I talked with author Brian McCauley, who teaches at ASU, and he's a local horror author, because I think if you're going to talk about misery, you shouldn't do it alone.
Nope.
So I was very privileged to have him join me on a book and film chat. So we talked about the novel, we talked about the film and the changes that were made, and it was really great. So that episode will be coming out soon. In the middle, I am just double fisting it left and right. I got two things going at the same time with Never Flinch. I mean to start Song of Susanna this summer. I really want that to happen. That needs to be the goal. So I'm looking, Song of Susanna is like on my nightstand. Never Flinch is on my nightstand as well, which I'm halfway through it. Just finished Misery. Oh gosh, Life of Chuck, that just hit, right? And then I've got some plates a spinning.
Nice.
But
very nice. Yeah, right? Yeah.
It's how I'm coping with my reality, is I'm just diving into my safe place of game.
Honestly, fair enough. That is the healing power of Stephen King.
It is.
Yep. So that is Stephen King check-ins. Are you guys ready to talk about this movie?
Yay!
All right. So, as is usually the case, we're going to do a non-spoiler review, and then I'm just delving into my obsessive viewer spiel. We're going to do a non-spoiler review, and then I'll play a clip from the trailer to switch over to spoilers. Feel free to check the show notes for timestamps for those to navigate around spoilers and everything. But those show notes are in your podcast app or in the description or at towerjunkiespod.com/096. So, The Life of Chuck. It is in theaters this weekend, opening wide this weekend. It is the premise, according to IMDb, is a life-affirming, genre-bending story based on Stephen King's novella about 3 chapters in the life of an ordinary man named Charles Krantz. Writer and director was, of course, Mike Flanagan, and the cast includes Tom Hiddleston, Jacob Tremblay, Benjamin Pajak, Cody Flanagan, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Karen Gillan, Mia Sara, Carl Lumley, Mark Hamill, and Matthew Lillard also is in it, and several other people. So here we go. The Life of Chuck. I believe, yeah, Kim, you and I talked about the novella some time ago on the podcast. It is one of my favorite Stephen King novellas. If it's not number 1, it's probably number 2. I was just gobsmacked by it, and just the confluence of events to have Mike Flanagan adapted is just like, it's perfect. It's perfect. So I was very much excited for this movie, and I will yield the floor to you guys, but I will say I thought it was great. What did you guys think of The Life of Chuck from Mike Flanagan?
Go ahead, Kim.
Well, such a gentleman. Thank you, Tiny. I loved it too, guys. Oh my goodness. So Matt and I did talk about, I think we were talking about If It Bleeds and in general, and the novellas in that collection. And Life of Chuck, I've read it 3 times now, but before the film came out, I'd only read it twice. And I remember talking with Matt and saying, I like it. It's good, but it never really hit as hard as other ones did. I liked it. And I think it's just because of the puzzling structure. It's got such an ambitious structure. We're starting with this very strange apocalyptic first chunk. I have a lot of questions. And so I felt confused. And so by the time I reached the end, I'm like, oh, that was sweet. And then I moved on. And it wasn't until this third read through, right before the film, it hit like a bomb. And I think it hit because it is both mine and Matt's 39th birthday this year.
Yes.
And it just, I listened to it on audiobook before I went to the theater. I also had the text in hand because I usually do both, as Matt knows. And so I was tearing up at the story, and that's how I knew it's finally hit. Like something, whatever life stressors were happening to me in the past, I don't know, but it was the right time. It was caught. Everything, the wheel came round again for me to just embrace it and be like, I get it. This is so special. This is so wonderful. So then with the story fresh in my mind, which I highly encourage constant readers out there to read before you go, you of course can go in cold. You absolutely can. You'll love it either way. But if you're a constant reader, please, I encourage to reread the story. So then I go to the film and I was blown away, guys. I got misty-eyed many times. And I was so present, like every single frame, I was glued. I felt like I didn't blink for the whole movie. I was just so dialed in with every cinematic choice, how he honored the source material insanely well. It's a 5-star for me, Matt. It really is.
Nice.
I wholeheartedly agree with your reviews, and I'm so glad that we're talking about it.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. Yep. Tiny, how about you?
I'm not sure I'm going to follow that, but I thought the movie was great. I really loved it. I read the novella once and it did not connect for me, which is a real shame, given both of your reactions to it. I need to give it another shot at some point. The only part I really remember is the dancing scene, which was really fun. And so I don't have a lot of reference for the movie, but the way you kind of put it, Kim, the fact that it's just a very challenging structure. The structure challenges the reader and kind of asks you to take a big jump at the beginning, and then you kind of piece it together throughout the rest of the story. And that's always a big ask of your audience. I'm sort of curious to see the big audience reaction to this, right? I think King fans, I think film fans, readers, constant readers will love it. But I just a casual, let's go see a movie. I don't know that they're going to connect with this,
Yeah.
And that's fine. I don't think Flanagan needs to make that movie, right? I don't think King needs to tell that story every time. And this is a very niche story. It's a unique, one of a kind story. To me, the way Flanagan, I thought Flanagan might do something a little more radical with the structure, to make it a little more accessible or to make it a little more his. And I don't know that he did, because again, I don't have enough of a reference for the novella, but I kind of wanted that a little bit more. I wanted a little bit more Flanagan-ness, which isn't a word, but
it is now.
It is now, yeah. But it's not a spoiler. The movie is distinctly broken into 3 acts, and the first act is very challenging, but then the second 2 are right up there with some of the best Flanagan, I think. It's just so beautiful and just deep. It's just deep storytelling, and it's what I love about Flanagan. And that I don't know where this will fall in my Flanagan, his stories and his movies and everything. I don't know where it'll fall in the list. I'll have to make some hard decisions maybe, but it's definitely a positive one, and it's great. I don't know if there's any bad Flanagan, so it's a good movie. It'll be on my top 10 list for the year without question. So yeah, it was wonderful.
Nice. Yes. I'm struggling to figure out if I should talk about this now or kind of when we go into spoilers. But basically, here's what I'm thinking in terms of like thoughts. There is this just beauty to the life of Chuck, both as a story and as an adaptation. Flanagan is the person who is like the most in tune with Stephen King's work, like just full stop there. But the thing that I kind of kept thinking about after the movie and everything is that from my experience, and I know that there's a lot of people that are the same way, otherwise, Flanagan wouldn't be as successful. But from my experience, the beauty of Mike Flanagan adapting King is that he's able to create a visual story that is very close to the visual story that I have in my head as I'm reading King. And it's both just him understanding the material on a way that I understand it, and it's also just a testament to his trust in the material, because so many of his adaptations, even when they get like weird or off kilter from where the source material is for any number of reasons, it still stays true to the text. And here, it's been a while since I read the novella, but I read it like 3 times when I read it before. Like, this is very, very, very close to the novella. Like, I would be hard pressed to think of anything that he actually changed. And that is such that's such an impressive feat every time that he does this, because they are completely different mediums. Like, film is a visual auditory medium. Words are words. Like, it's so weird that he can be that in tune with it. So, it's a massively impressive achievement. And just the fact that, yes, this story is very weirdly structured in a very complimentary way. I'm saying that. The way that he translates that to film is just masterful. Absolutely masterful. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And the way that he, or the way the story really plays out, like, I know that there's been a lot of, like, the marketing and everything has, like, touted it as, like, in league with, like, the Shawshank Redemption and, like, any Frank Darabont adaptation, which is very much well deserved. But even like the trailer says from author Stephen King, author of Stand By Me, all of the like good, like dramatic stuff, not horror stuff. That like, I think that there is such a specialness to The Life of Chuck as a structured story that it is this amalgam of 3 iconic types of Stephen King storytelling prowess. And it's just, we can dig into that in spoilers, but like the way that just kind of blends together into such a uniquely Stephen King story brought to life with such unique Mike Flanagan vision is like, it makes it a 5-star movie for me. It's 5 stars. I love it. It's my top contender for movie of the year, which is not a surprise at all. Like, there's no shock there. I loved it. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more. And Matt, you are absolutely correct. It is shockingly close, my dudes. Like, I have not ever seen a Stephen King adaptation that was this close. Because you are right, Matt. He didn't change a thing. All he did was add.
Yeah.
He added a little more flavor and spice to certain moments in Acts 2 and 3. Just a little extra. That's all he did, was just sprinkle extra. But the blueprints, the roots are completely, it's a mirror image. It is truly a seamless adaptation. It's almost word for word. It's nuts.
It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. I think that Eric Vespi told me this. I think it may have been in the episode. I'm not sure, but or actually I maybe read. I don't know. Anyway,
I loved that interview, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. It was amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate it. But he, like, I guess Flanagan like wrote this in a weekend. Like he got the rights and was like, "Yep, I'm gonna write it," and wrote it just like it. From what it sounds like, it just kind of came out, and like, yeah, that's it. It's so good. It's just, yeah, it's so freaking good. Yeah. Yep. So.
That speaks to his just his talent as a visionary, I think. That's that always astounds me when I hear about filmmakers doing that. Like, oh yeah, I wrote this in a week or something. I'm like, how is that possible?
Yep.
But I think people who are true visionaries can do that, and he obviously is. Oh yeah,
and I, like, to your point, Kim, about turning 39. I'm turning 39 in 2 weeks, and yeah,
39 great years.
Yes, exactly. And like, that's something that I find really interesting as well, for just like this, not necessarily it being like I don't know, this might be just not too much information, but like, you know, aging is aging. Like, I'm getting older. I talked about it on Obsessive Viewer that like I'm about to hit 40. I'm a year away from hitting 40. And like, my goal is to, as dark as it sounds, my goal is to get some health things under control to the point that when I hit 40, I want to have confidence that I'll hit 50. And I also want my 40s to be like, you know, fun. And like, I want to, because like the 30s are like where I've kind of learned who I am. Like I don't know. I've kind of grown into who I'm content with being. I'm happy with who I am. And like, I don't know, I kind of just want to, you know, enjoy my 40s.
I love this.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah. It like, as I'm saying it out loud, it reminds me of, I think it's a Simpsons quote where, is it I don't know. Anyway, like Bart and Milhouse are like mad because they're like they're not old enough to do something. And so they say like, oh, I can't wait till we're teenagers when nothing will be wrong. So anyway, but yeah, and I had mentioned this on Patreon, but like, it was a weird experience, like coming out of the theater and like going home, because not to flex, but Tiny and I got to see an advanced screening.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was so thrilled that we got that invite because it was through Heartland Film Festival here in Indianapolis. And yeah, it was like that was like I was very excited about that. But
flex away.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So but like when I was leaving, like there is, and again I mentioned this on patreon.com/obsessiveviewer. There is a billboard that is around Indianapolis. Several billboards. It's like the same company has these billboards. I think it's nationwide. It's Reagan whatever. And from what I understand, the owner's wife, I almost said Nancy Reagan. That's not it. Julia Reagan, passed away. So for the last year or so, there have been memorialized billboards that change over all the time, all across the city. That's just like Julia Reagan, not 39 great years, but like in that same kind of thing, like all like never forgotten, always remembered, like very nice things. And it's like, I just had that moment, like leaving the theater, like just like seeing that as I'm passing by, I was like, whoa, this is like not surreal, but it was like, it's just, there's something there. And it's just, it speaks to the power of the story that, it's about life and the highs and lows of it. And yeah, it was a unique experience, I would say.
Maybe we're all NPCs in Julia Reagan's story.
Yeah, that would not surprise me. That would be, sure.
I'll take it.
Let's do it.
There's worse existences out there, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're in good hands with Julia. But yeah, and just like the whole 39 great years thing, that just like hit me in a very specific point. And I know, Tiny, you're a young buck here.
Yeah, I know.
Like
38. Going on 39.
Okay, you're our next door neighbor. You're fine.
Yeah, okay. I'm right there.
He'll be 39 in January.
Okay, I thought you were gonna say something gross like 26, and I'm like, ew, Tiny, get out of here.
No. If I didn't have the beard, I would look like I'm 13. But yeah.
It was funny, but this is a tangent, but this is the show. Today at work, some coworkers were asking like, I don't know, they shouted across the room to one of our other coworkers who is 22 years old. And they were like, hey, what year were you born? And then like, or maybe they said it in the chat. I don't know. But anyway, she typed in the chat 2003. And I was just like, same. Yeah.
I'm a proud 80s baby.
Yes.
I love all of us 80s babies. We made it. We got the last chopper out of Vietnam, let me tell you.
Yes.
We were the last group of children born before the internet, and it shows.
Yeah, it really does.
It does.
Like, I am so thankful for that. Just like having the lived experience of not having the internet is like this like golden like experience that no one can know.
Truly. We were kids. We were the last kids on bikes drinking hose water, and we didn't have phones attached to us, and we went to Blockbuster.
Yes.
And we had great TV, and it was a great time to be a kid. And now we're ready to pull in the toaster in, but
right.
But it was a great time to be a kid for sure. And I love what you said, Matt, about I like how the film is being marketed as they're pulling out King's dramatic hits, Shawshank, The Green Mile, Stand By Me, because I love that, because it allows the audiences out there to remember, oh yeah, this guy should not be pigeonholed in horror.
Yeah.
This is a really talented, masterful fiction writer who has the ability to create these very dramatic, warm, soul-affirming stories if you give him that chance. And for me, the film reminds me that, especially in our collective ages of, I think it's getting harder to just live a normal life, because we always have to legacy, success. What are you doing to market yourself, and hustle culture? And life got very, very fast, I want to say, in the last few decades. And it seems like everyone's always striving to leave something behind, or greatness, or money, and success, fame, fortune, whatever it is. Whereas the life of Chuck reminds you that just by existing, you are a spectacular event. Your life is a spectacular, one-of-a-kind event. You contain multitudes, and your tiny little life, whatever it is you're doing in your routine, in your town, the people you meet, it all has this great, grandiose impact that we can't even imagine. And that is so special. I mean, what a huge, uplifting message to look at your life as a miracle, rather than, oh, I'm just a regular person. I'm just middle class or below middle class. I'm just struggling over here, hustling. And it's like, no, if you really stop and take in the message of the life of Chuck, we're all these one-of-a-kind masterpieces with millions upon millions of magical elements connected to us. And so if I think about that long enough, I'll just like sob in the corner.
Yeah. Like, I'm getting a little choked up just hearing you say that. Well done. Like, well said.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree 100%.
Yep. Yeah. It's something that, like, this movie is so unique in terms of just the structure and the messaging of it. Like, that whole, you contain multitudes, like a universe is between your ears, and like, that is such a powerful thing that is something that I think is valuable to communicate to any audience member of any age range, because we live in this world now where everything is like, we have the entirety of human like knowledge in our hand when we're taking a dump. Like, it's just really like absurd, because
too much power.
Exactly. And like, what we gravitate toward with that is like, we watch these TikToks, we watch influencers, we watch like celebrity culture run amok on our social media feeds, and we are seeing the lives of other people and all of this, and that just kind of just devours into can devour into your soul of like, oh, what have I done? Like you said, like legacy, like what am I leaving behind and everything. And like, that's something that I've thought about a lot, because of various reasons, but like, just having this movie, having this message of being that, your life is precious because it's your life, and because you are wonderful and you contain multitudes. Like, that messaging is so just beautiful, and it is just this wonderful sentiment that goes across every facet of this movie and the story. And it's like, I don't want to say, I know I've said this about Mike Flanagan's work before with Stephen King. This is notably what I say about Dr. Sleep every time. But here, I'll twist it around. I feel like the adaptation of Dr. Sleep is Mike Flanagan magic trick. Doing this magic trick of melding together all of these different things, from The Shining book to The Shining movie to Dr. Sleep the novel, putting that all together. That is Mike Flanagan's magic trick with Stephen King. And The Life of Chuck, for me, in that messaging, in that kind of just the storytelling of it, that unique, very like sincere human story with slight science fiction elements, with signature Stephen King light horror related stuff toward the end. All of those come together. That is Stephen King's magic trick with this story, to have the focus and have the thing that we draw from it be this incredible message of, your life is worth living, and you are important because you're alive. Like, that is just so powerful and beautiful and just so uniquely done in this movie. It is like, it's why it's one of my favorite Stephen King novellas and easily now one of my favorite adaptations.
Amen to that. I think for me, what's so, and I'm sure this is true for a lot of people, but what's so special to me about Mike Flanagan's work is how he depicts the highs and lows and the depths of human connections, human relationships. And it's not just like a husband and wife or, something obvious like that, or it's not just like a love story. Mm-hmm. It's a father and son. It's a grandson and his grandpa in this movie that jumped out to me the most. In Midnight Mass, which is his current masterpiece in my opinion, can't get any better than that. For me, it was that relationship between, I can't remember the character names anymore, but QB1, Maddie, what's his name?
Matt Saracen in Friday Night Lights. He was Riley in Midnight Mass. Was that the character name?
Is that right?
I think so. Yes.
Yeah.
We're getting the nod from Kim. Yes.
Thank you. Yeah. And Kate Siegel. That dynamic, and it's just an old flame. Really, is that that's their relationship, but the extremes that it goes to because of the story and because of the situation they're in is just amazing. And the peak of all his work are these conversations. Like there's no, like you would think in so many movies, that's a vampire story, right? You would think the peak, craziest, coolest scene to see is when a vampire tackles somebody and eats them or something. Mm-hmm. But that's like child's play compared to two characters sitting on a couch having a conversation.
Yeah.
And with Life of Chuck, there are these two pivotal dancing scenes in the movie, and they're wonderful. They're great. I love them. But to me, the best scene is conversation that young Chuck has with his grandfather in his study, and like how is that the best part of this movie, right? It's and I think it speaks to what you guys have been saying, that your life matters because of those moments, and it can be just about you, and it can be just about a connection you have with another person that might seem fleeting or might seem insignificant to you, but it could be a life lesson for somebody that they remember for their entire life, and it exists in the universe of their mind. And like that's, again, this was perfect for Flanagan because of his ability to tap into that stuff through the most simplest of storytelling tools. It's amazing how he can do that. And the strongest emotional reaction I've ever had to any piece of art was Midnight Mass. And it was that conversation that they had on the couch. Like, how is that? It's amazing. I could tell someone that, and they're like, oh, really? Like someone else would be surprised. And that's the beauty of art in general, is that I can have a reaction like that, and someone else is like, oh, that's a good scene. And then move on to the next thing, see a vampire tackle somebody and eat them, right? And that's what jumps out to them. And that's the beauty of art. But I just love how Mike Flanagan, that's his peak, is some of the simplest storytelling tools are his most beautiful work. And it was on full display in this movie. And it was an old guy telling his grandson about math.
Yeah.
What?
That was so good.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well said. Well said.
Thank you.
That whole scene was so beautifully done as well. And it also kind of ties in a bit to like just this idea that, Chuck is kind of scoffing at the idea of like, oh, numbers, accounting, like, okay, that's boring and everything. And then his grandfather just has this just impassioned thing that's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna like, this is why math and this is why numbers are so important and everything is all that. And like it imparts in him this, it changes the trajectory of Chuck's life from that point forward. But it's also just this interesting coming together of different viewpoints. Like Chuck doesn't think anything special about numbers or anything, and Albie is like, oh no, this is why I feel this way. And maybe it's a little bit of a stretch, but like, yeah, I kind of see that as being an interesting just depiction of how, you know, things should be in the world, with like having conflicting viewpoints on things, not necessarily politics or anything, but like, it's because we're in a time and in a world with like social media and immediate reaction stuff, much like my immediate reaction recordings on Patreon, but that's neither here nor there. But like people, and this is something that I have very much rallied against or railed against for years, but just like this, the way that social media has trained so many people to immediately have a reaction to something, whether it be movies, TV, media, news articles, anything, there needs to be an immediate reaction. You need to immediately voice your opinion about something. And because of that, there has been such a, from my perspective, a noticeable just shedding of any type of media literacy. And it is so disheartening, so frustrating. And like, I don't know, to see something on screen, like I'm going to try to tie it back to The Life of Chuck, but to see something on screen of like someone basically coming to something with a preformed opinion about accounting and then coming away from it, having their life changed is powerful on that small, very, very tiny scale. As is a lot of this movie is great. So yeah.
Word.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm like still thinking about what Tiny said, because I think you nailed it so well about, and Matt sort of got the ball rolling with Flanagan's superpower. Like, let's look at what this guy's really, really good at. And he's really, really good with human relationships and that dynamic. And so at the Toronto International Film Festival, I caught this little clip where they were being interviewed on the red carpet, and they asked Flanagan about King, and Flanagan said King was a soulful humanist at heart. And he says, no, what people don't realize is King's a soulful humanist. And I was like, yes, that's it exactly. But now I think that why it's so awesome to observe Flanagan adapting King is because Flanagan is also a soulful humanist. So King's work is just perfectly molded in his creative hands, and he's always honoring King's decisions, King's character work, King's plot moves. So if you've got two soulful humanists, you've got somebody's clay and then the other guy grabs it. It's like, oh, so it's one masterwork being revisualized and reimagined by another master who has such love and care for this guy's work. And so it's just like, can it be any greater? Like,
right?
Wow.
It's perfect. It is just a perfect partnership for Flanagan and King. It's astonishing how good it is. I would honestly say better than Darabont, honestly. Like, and Darabont, sure, he did 3 Stephen King adaptations, and like they're some of the best, like absolute best Stephen King adaptations. I think all of them are on my top 19. Are they? I'm looking at it now. I can't tell. Yes. Oh, probably. Anyway, so they're perfect adaptations, but like Flanagan has not now taken that like mantle, I think. So yeah.
Love it.
For sure. Yeah. There's no other choice. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Do you guys want to talk a little bit more in non-spoilers, or should we go into spoilers?
I think I'm good to go into spoilers.
Okay. Nice. So Kim, you said 5 stars. I said 5 stars. Tiny.
I was floating around 4, but I'm thinking more like 4.5.
Nice. Nice. All right. Well, we are going to go ahead and go into spoilers for The Life of Chuck. Once again, this movie is releasing in theaters on June 13th nationwide. Kind of a bummer because it's only going to be at one of the AMCs near me that's on the opposite side of the town, the city, but I'm going to see it again for sure. But
I'm going Saturday with book club.
Nice. Very nice. Awesome. Nice. Tiny, when are you seeing it again?
Probably when it comes out on home video. It's so hard to get to the theater. I know, and I want to go see the F1 movie. So,
oh yeah.
Yeah, that looks good.
Yeah,
big race fan. So
yeah. I am seeing that next week, and unfortunately, Tiny could not make it to the screening. So
yeah, I'm on call.
Yep. All right. Well, we should go on call for talking about spoilers for The Life of Chuck.
Don't make on call cool. He can't. I swear. I've tried.
All right, we're going to go ahead and go into spoilers. I'm going to play a clip from the trailer. If you want to navigate around spoilers, check the show notes for timestamps. Here's a clip from the trailer. When we come back, we're going to be spoiling The Life of Chuck, so stay tuned.
The world, Chuck. Everything you've ever loved. Everything you see. Every year that you live, that world will get bigger and brighter. And more detailed and complex. You fill the whole thing. It'll be a universe. Isn't that wonderful?
All right, and spoilers on for The Life of Chuck. Where shall we begin? Kim, as you're the guest, where would you like to start with our spoiler talk on The Life of Chuck?
Oh, I guess we should start with my favorite part, because I feel it's a little unconventional.
Okay.
Because I, of course, love our dance numbers. I think it's worth the price of admission alone to see those. It's such a wonderful throwback to classic cinema, especially if you watched a lot of musicals like I did as a kid, because my grandparents' house, there was always some sort of Gene Kelly movie on.
Nice.
But my favorite part of the movie is actually in Act 1, and I can't get this scene out of my head, but it just stole it for me. I don't know why, but this is toward the end of Act 1 after he is chatting with a young lady on roller skates, and the power grid goes out, and it's kind of suspenseful. It's a little bit freaky because the streets are all dark, and then the blue light from the windows, all the windows have this moving image, almost like a hologram of Chuck, and they're all different. So some of the holograms, Chuck is crying, which made me very emotional. And there are some where he's laughing. There are some where he looks healthy and vibrant. There are others where he's in his hospital bed. And I thought this was so incredible because in the novella, the text just says it was like a blue glowing image. King doesn't go into too much detail with that. So then what Flanagan did and why film is so amazing is they just revved it up to level 11 and we just see all these beautiful moments, and seeing Tom Hiddleston in tears in this blue image, it just like I started to cry because as the reader, I know what's happening in Act 1. I know the story, and so I know that he is dying and that this world is dying. And so it's like these bright flashes because we're at the end. We're at these final moments, the crescendo, the swan song. And so I just love everything about this scene. The lights going down. He says, you should get home. And then the blue lights. And if I'm excited to see it again, because I really want to spend more time looking at the distinctions and the differences for each little image, each little moving hologram. I don't know why, guys. It was just so magical to me. It was so emotional and heartfelt because it's like the final notes of the song. But you only know that if you've read the story. or seen the film. And so when you really get to plug back in with it again, you're like, oh, how beautiful this is, these final glowing blue moments, these last echoes, if you will. And it got me. And there are so many parts throughout the film that I love, but that has to be at this present time my favorite scene.
Very, very nice. Yeah, that was really a very great visualization of that. Yeah, beautiful.
Wow, I wasn't expecting that to be your favorite scene. That's
yeah.
I too am perplexed. I don't get it. I'm like, that one really? And I keep thinking about it. That's the point in the film where I really felt the tears flow. I was it caught me off guard. I was wiping tears and I was like, oh man, like I'm in this. I'm fully immersed in where we are. I understand that this is Chuck dying and this is what it looks like. And we're in the final moments and look how beautiful and this kaleidoscope of time and in these blue, I don't know, guys, it just got me.
Nice. I had a similar thought or similar experience, just seeing the lights go out, the stars go out, and seeing Marty and Felicia together. Just that, there's just something just so simple and beautiful to that, and and then kind of jolting us into the hospital room, and like it's just it is all encompassing. It's so beautiful and well done. Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned that because it was funny watching the movie because I don't know if it was like that day or a couple days before, I saw this article, just kind of read it in passing. I didn't read the whole thing, kind of like a lot of us do now with stuff we see on the internet, but it was essentially calculating how there's been so many studies about near-death experiences. Like there was a long-term near-death experience study, maybe multiple ones. There was I think it was a partnership between multiple universities or something like that. And the results came out, and it's like, it's pretty much conclusive that all near-death experiences are basically just hallucinations. Which is a little bit obvious, but they're so powerful that people want to associate them with actual supernaturality, right? Which is that's natural. That's a natural reaction. I'm not judging anyone for having that thought or that experience with it, but it talked about light and how like all vision is light, and so almost every single near-death experience has to do with bright or vibrant light. And it was so fitting how light was used in this first act, especially at the end, like Kim was just talking about there. His lit up, kind of eerie looking face in the windows, the connection was just serendipitous, I guess, is the word that I had just read that article. But it was fun, and like I think the first act for me is it's my least favorite. I think I wanted it to be a little bit more visually Flanagan. I think the visual choices he made didn't feel natural to his normal visuals, I guess. And you know, he mostly has existed in the horror genre, and so there's a lot of darkness and filters and grays and dark blues and stuff like that, and that's what most of his visual work has been. And so maybe that's just what I always associate with him, and this isn't a horror movie, so like maybe that's what kind of threw me off. But still, the other two acts felt more visually like Flanagan, and so that threw me off, and I think that's why I took like the half star off or the whole star off of a 5-star rating for me. But I also don't know that I would change it. I think that first act is supposed to be weird. Like that's not Mike Flanagan's mind. That's a whole other universe, right? And so it kind of makes sense, but I just missed it, and I wanted to see it. It's like going into any Flanagan work, I have high expectations now.
Yeah.
And he didn't quite meet them there. And I'm not, again, that's not necessarily a criticism. It's just, it just didn't work out this time. I'm not like upset about it. I'm not saying it wasn't well done. It just didn't quite hit what I wanted it to hit. But having said all that, there's still a lot of beauty in it, and I was still, able to connect it with something that wasn't even, that article I read. And it was just, again, serendipitous and just kind of fun how that all connected together. But yeah, that's just kind of how I felt about the first act, but to me, the meat of it is in the other two acts. But it was still really good though.
Yay!
Yeah. Yep. Those other two acts where we get to know Chuck, that is, the structure of the story is just so beautiful because we're introduced to the universe ending. And I love that just like kind of blasé sort of like not contentment, but that just like whatever Matthew Lillard said, they're at acceptance now. They've gotten to acceptance, and like that, it's powerful when you think of it in context of the greater work. Because imagine the world within Chuck going through the stages of grief as his family is doing on the outside, and like it's such a human story. It's beautiful. But as we get to know Chuck through those other two acts, like I said this on Patreon, which, common thing to say, but the dancing sequence, I would be remiss if I didn't say that it, like, the whole time I was watching it, I was thinking, Flanagan is going to nail the like quartet dancing the Kamala thing in the Dark Tower. Like that's all I thought of.
That was such a good part.
Yeah.
So cool.
Oh yeah. But yeah, so the dancing part is just this, it's such an interesting just beauty to the story, obviously, where we're just seeing a little piece of his life. We're seeing a little piece of his life that is him coming alive in an unexpected moment that has nothing to do with what he is, what he is on paper as this accountant who's in town on business for a conference and everything. It's just him not being that and just forming this connection with complete strangers. And that was the big thing that just really also just like kind of just filled me with just this wonderful feeling of warmth and love for this movie, is that it's about this connections that we form with people and in the way that, there's just genuine like kindness and sweetness in just warmth in all of these connections that we make. Like when the busker and the young woman and Chuck are like talking afterwards, and the busker is like, we could make money doing this and everything. And it's like in the novella, it's like that's a sweet like idea, and it's like we're in Chuck's head and he's like thinking like, maybe I'll just go viral or something. But in the movie, it's like no one is expecting, like no one is actually like thinking like that's an actual viable option. But it's just that beautiful, just like that fleeting moment where it's like, yeah, we have this connection, and like, yeah, let's talk about like, it could be something we could do or whatever, knowing that we never will. It's just, it's wonderful. Yeah.
I like that you highlighted that part, Matt, because it's like life magic. And I think hopefully we've all had, maybe in college or around that time, bar culture where we're all newly 21, or maybe a house party where it gets late and you get talking and you super duper connect with somebody, and there's just a magical connection, and you're in this moment together. And it used to happen to us all the time in grad school, because you just have people from all over the country, all over the world, and then you both like the same things. And so, but yeah, sometimes you get life magic where one little dance rolls into this unexpected connection. And it's so awesome, because I think that is real, and it's something I still hope for people out there having a hard time. Like, life will still surprise you. Yes. You will still find these magical moments in this life if we let it. It's if you just show up, which I know is really hard nowadays, but oftentimes just showing up is half the battle, and you have no idea what sort of magical bend in the road is awaiting you by going to the party or going to the restaurant or showing up at the sporting event. And I found $20 and it goes from there, like just life magic. And I'm glad that you highlighted that part, because a lot of people might not focus on that because of the excitement of the dance is where all the elation is the dance. But then the come down and the afterburn, and when he's telling that young lady who has the best 40s dress ever, JC Halliday, when he's like, I'm really sorry, your heart's broken. I'm really sorry. And it's going to be okay. And you're going to feel better soon, and keep on keeping on. And that, I'm glad that you highlighted that part, because people might miss it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And just the idea that she was, as the narrator says, like she was just gotten dumped, but she wasn't seeing like him seriously or anything, but it was still, she's going to go home, eat ice cream, cry. And like, her day is just completely not upended, but it's completely, the trajectory has changed because of this spontaneous dance. And like that, again, that human connection is just so fleeting until you grab onto it. And that's so beautiful and powerful. And another thing to kind of talk in the kind of macro of the movie, maybe this is me putting some things in there that's maybe not fully there, but like when you think about his growth as a character in reverse, basically, but his growth from childhood to adulthood, you have like him learning in that like third act, he's learning just how to, interact with people, learning how to come out of his shell. And then you get the second act with him out of his shell and everything. And it's just, it speaks to me and my, as I've been saying for like several, for like almost 2 years now, probably here in my twilight years. Like it's so powerful to see a story depict the learned experience of living. Like he is learning, he's evolving throughout his life. He's learned to dance, and like we see the evolution of his learning to dance and learning to interact with people and having like a crush and like being like more comfortable in his skin. And it's so warm. It's warm. Yeah.
Warm is a good word. I like that.
Yeah. Yep.
Very good.
Yeah. And yeah, so I do want to talk about the third act in the way that, first of all, we haven't talked about Mark Hamill. Amazing. I just like I saw like a headline or something where I think he had said something about how, he said that he's done with Star Wars, like he's like it was fun and everything, but like it's moved on, like it's a big thing now, but like he's content with not being a part of Star Wars and everything. And like this performance is fantastic. Like
it's so good.
Yeah, it's like this is amazing, and I love it because it's not Mark Hamill Star Wars. It's just Mark Hamill giving an amazing performance, an amazing like paternal performance, but haunted as well. And that's where like the third act is in that kind of more familiar Stephen King feel, where there's like an ominous room that carries a lot of negative energy and negative weight. And like, that's why I say that this is an interesting amalgam of all of these different pieces of King's like storytelling prowess that just morph together into this beautiful, life-affirming story of this man's life and the human connections that are forged both within him and around him. And it's just, it's a perfect mix of King and Flanagan. Yeah.
That part, the eerie room, or the room with the whatever.
The what is the
word?
Cupola, right? Yeah. No, but like the whatever presence or force occupies that room. I think what's interesting about what you just said is it has this negative aura about it, but what's so cool about this story is I think it's only negative if you let it be, right? Because Chuck, he saw the truth of that room, and it was like a choice, right? He was like, okay, like I'm not going to let this define what I do with the rest of my life. I'm not going to let this ruin my life, kind of like his grandpa did. And that's beautiful. We keep using that word because it is. There's just an overwhelming amount of beauty in this movie. And to talk about Mark Hamill, I was just looking at his IMDb. He has 377 acting credits.
Jeez. Now,
he is a masterful voice actor, so I think probably 3/4 of it is that.
Right.
But I think this is my favorite Mark Hamill performance. Like,
nice.
And I don't even think it's close to anything else. Like, I could not take my eyes off of him.
Yeah.
Like, I just couldn't. He just had his look with the big bushy mustache and just his bloodshot eyes, and just the way he kept. I loved the little nicknames he had. He called Chuck like Chucko and Chucky, and I was like, God, that's just such a grandpa. I just love it. And and it was in moments of, there were some fun moments, but it was in moments of seriousness and some terror and some drunkenness and stuff like that. But it was sweet at the same time. It was from a place of love, even though it was a little serious. And he perfectly walks that tightrope with his performance. Yeah, I loved it.
I personally think his performance in Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy was maybe a smidge better, but yeah.
I scrolled his acting credits so hard. You guys are familiar with bad lip reading, right? On YouTube?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
He did the bad lip reading for Star Wars The Force Awakens, but he did it as Harrison Ford playing Han Solo.
Oh, that is amazing.
That's very Mark Hamill and just funny.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
He really is astonishing. I also loved every single second of his performance because I don't have my grandpa anymore, and it makes me miss him. When you see good grandpas on screen, you're like, oh, it's real. So yeah, he's the perfect grandpa. But I know that Matt's a Scream guy. You might be too, Tiny, because Matthew Lillard stole it for me, guys.
Oh, amazing.
Scene stealer.
Yes. Wow. And I haven't seen him since the original Scream.
Oh,
which
wow.
Was a very long time ago, because I haven't really kept up with the franchise, so I don't know if he comes back at all. But I also haven't seen him in any other films for a very, very long time, minus like the teen movies we watched. I think he was in a few of them. And so it has been a really long time since I've seen Matthew Lillard in a film. And he smashed my little heart, y'all. He crushed it.
Yep. Just that embodiment of contentment and just embodiment of just the hopelessness, but still maintaining just a flicker of not even optimism, but just almost cheerfulness to an extent, or just like this contentment, really. Yeah. And I love him. He's fantastic. Just in general. Yeah.
Amen. There's no weak links in the performances in this movie.
No.
And I talked about how a lot of times kids are not good actors. That was not the case in this movie. I think Flanagan has a knack for finding perfect actors.
Yes.
Much like Kim was saying earlier, and that includes kids, because I don't know that there's been a poor child performance in any of his past works either. At least not that I've seen. And Benjamin Pajak as young Chuck, and Jacob Tremblay as slightly less young Chuck, were both fantastic. Even the scene that Kim C was talking about with the little girl on the roller skates, and she was great. Like, she's one of the. It's amazing to me when an actor shows up for a scene, and it's a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, maybe most, and you can't take your eyes off them. They're just like encapsulating. And that scene was partly that, and that little girl was fantastic. I don't even know who the hell she was.
Yeah.
She was, I don't know her actress name, but she was Nellie Crane in The Haunting of Hill House.
Oh,
the littlest
Really?
little, yeah, she's Nellie Crane. She's so little.
oh, that's so awesome. That's so
cool
awesome.
that you picked that up. Yeah.
Yeah. I love how Flanagan has just this roster of people. Like, I
It's
think
so cool.
that it is amazing. And I think that maybe this is just me speaking hopefully, but I think that type of filmmaking and performer relationship is something that, I mean, they wouldn't keep coming back to him if they weren't satisfied with his directing and his work ethic and everything. And I just think that it just makes me feel like, you know, good people working with good people making good art is just the best. So, yeah.
Kim, what was your as an educator? What was your reaction to Katie Siegel in the third act, where she's teaching and then she has that just beautiful moment with Chuck? How did you feel about that scene?
Oh my God, this is an amazing question, Tiny. So I felt so bad for her because she's just trying, even though she really should stop trying, because it's the end of the school year and you need to, no, you cannot just stand up there and read from the text. Like, no, my sweet girl, no. So that part just broke me because I wish I could have stepped in and helped her. And we could have gone to a PowerPoint because all of these whippersnappers and their dopamine is all effed up. But anyway, but it really is so accurate that oftentimes you come to life with the one student who stays behind. That is so true, because you always hope, they always tell you, other administrators and mentors, they're like, don't do it for the whole class, do it for the one. Do it for the one kid who's listening to you, the one person who's taking what you said seriously, who is actually paying attention, because there is always one. And I have found this to be true. And most years I get really lucky and there's like 3 or 4 or 5, and I don't know there's 3 or 4 or 5, but you do it for the one. And so I just love how she comes to life when Chuck goes up to her at the end, because that's what we all do. The one kid who stays after and wants to ask a question or know more, and not just say, can I have extra credit? No, shut up. But the kid who was like, tell me more about that. What does he mean by that? Or when did he write that? You know, just their general questions. And you're like, step into my office, little angel. And so it was so awesome. I thought that was a beautiful scene. I think she was really bleeding heart, has an overflowing. She's not grizzled enough as many teachers who would be like, well, you know, I think hopefully not all of us, but some of us at the end of the school year, we're like, gotta go. We'll talk more about this next term, but I love that she took the time, and I knew she was a real teacher because that's what you always ask. You're like, what does it mean to you? You always ask them, what do you think it means? And that's so true. You always spin it around and say, tell me what it means from your eyes. Tell me what you think. So that was such a teacher thing. I was like, 10 out of 10.
Oh, that's great.
Nice. That's a great answer. That's another thing that I really loved about the movie and the story, is the way that those little pieces that we see, like her reading the excerpt from, oh God, what was it from? Was it Walt Whitman?
Walt Whitman.
Yeah.
Yep.
The way that is in his brain in the first act, the way that those things that we see in those second and third acts are already kind of established in the universe in his brain. Like, it's powerful to see that, like, see a depiction of like the things that we carry with us, that we learn as we grow, how it has this definable thing in our brains that could go a whole lifetime. So I don't know. I like that a lot.
For sure.
I also really like, I don't know if you guys had this in school, but sometimes like when you're in the classroom and you're learning it, it's just not sticking. And then like 6 months later, you're like, oh, I get it. And so I always tell my students that because, with fiction, it's like learning how to paint almost. And so they get really frustrated when they can't implement the elements we're talking about. So if we're talking about subtext, okay, that's kind of tricky. It's kind of hard to do. We study where it's been done well, but it's all right if you can't do it as well as you want to immediately while the class is happening. But oftentimes, once your brain simmers a little bit and you are not in data collecting mode and you're in data reflection mode, then the echoes of what I've said and what we've read, then it comes back to you. And so the learning really is full circle.
Nice. Well said. That's amazing. Yep.
Great perspective. Yeah.
Yeah. We should probably wind down.
Yeah.
Because we have taken up a lot of Kim's time and it's late here and Kim has a TV date. So
I wish I didn't. I love you guys to pieces and I would podcast for 1 million more hours, but we have other roles we play in this life.
We do. But yeah, so overall thoughts on the life of Chuck. I'll say my favorite movie of the year so far. And I've been watching a lot of movies this year. Check out Obsessive Viewer. But yeah, it's brilliant. It's amazing. It's everything I wanted an adaptation of this story to be and everything I expected Mike Flanagan to deliver in that adaptation and more. Like just 5 out of 5 across the board. Amazing. Yep.
So awesome.
Yeah. And final thoughts from Tiny and Kim.
I'll jump in first to be rude because you said I was a gentleman earlier and I'm not. It's going to be one of my top films of the year as well. There's no way it's not going to be. I loved Flanagan doing his Flanagan-ness. The connections and the relationships between the characters is as beautiful as it ever has been in his writing and in King's writing. I always talk about how Stephen King tells stories about everyman. There's very few of his characters are extraordinary. They're everymen put into extraordinary situations. And this was absolutely an example of that. And both of these storytellers thrive in those environments, and they made a gorgeous movie. It's I think I'm going to stick with probably about 4.5 out of 5 stars on this, and can't wait to see what everyone involved with this project does again. All the actors, the storytellers, the filmmakers, Stephen King, everybody. It's a great movie.
Yep.
Yay! Well said.
Yeah. Kim, final thoughts?
This is definitely going to be one of my favorite films of the year. I think it's probably tied for first with Sinners. I really loved the hell out of Sinners.
Sinners was amazing.
Twice. Oh my God. I saw it twice. And for me to see it twice, that means there's got to be a deep love. So it's tied for first right now with Sinners. But this has to be probably third place, if not maybe tied for second with my other favorite King adaptations. Well, this is probably a loaded question, but we've got Dr. Sleep, The Outsider, Shawshank, The Green Mile. I mean, all of these are like 10 out of 10. And I think that Life of Chuck has just wedged in between those guys, and it's hanging out in the winner's circle with all of those.
I love that. Yep.
Right? It's just, it belongs with the greats.
Oh, yeah.
We can easily put it at the table with the greats. And that's so, we have so many not good adaptations. And then every now and again, we get a grand slam. And that's what this one feels like. It feels like all the bases we got like the most giant home run with this film. And it feels great because we really siphoned through a lot of duds. We got we just like look for the bare minimum of what's decent in a lot of these adaptations because these guys see Stephen King's name on it and they're like, oh, let's up the gore, let's up the terror. And it's like they forget all about the character journeys. They dishonor all of the character development just for chills and thrills, which doesn't translate for very long. So I just love that it's one of the greats. Absolutely. I'm so excited to see it again this Saturday. I'm going again with my book club. It is so lovely to take into your heart and to remember it's not about how many years we have, but what we do with them. And that's so huge.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes. Well said. I am tentatively nestling this adaptation between my number 1, which is Shawshank, and my number 3, which is The Shining.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, which I might have to reevaluate my top 10 or my top 19
This
adaptations.
definitely shakes them up. It shakes the whole count up now.
Oh, yeah. I had to get rid of my beloved Sometimes They Come Back for this one. So, but, you know, it's an honorable mention. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so The Life of Chuck is in theaters this weekend. That should do it for this episode. Kim, do you want to give people another just plug for your podcast and Patreon and where they can find you online?
Why, yes. Thank you, Matt. Thank you guys so much for having me. It is such a joy to be in your company. You guys are 2 of my favorites. You're such smarties. I love talking with you. You're my favorites. I am Kim C, and my podcast is The Year of Underrated Stephen King. You should be able to find me on any podcast outlet, and I'm on the socials as well. And then if you would like to get extra Stephen King content from me, I do have a Patreon called The Dance Macabre with Kim C that highlights Stephen King on film, Stephen King females, and Stephen King short stories for the bargain price of $222.
Nice. Very nice. Yeah. All the respect in the world to you, Kim, for all that you do. Your podcast is amazing. You're amazing to talk to. Everything. Everyone go listen to Kim and do whatever she says. So
I second that. Always a delight, Kim.
Always a delight. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to go ahead and give the final spiel for this episode. That's it for this episode of Tower Junkies. As always, thank you so much for listening, and make sure to follow the show on every level of social media and subscribe to the podcast on your preferred podcast app so you never miss an episode. Also, check out our other shows. We've got The Obsessive Viewer, a weekly movie review podcast over at obsessiveviewer.com. This week, I'm reviewing the new How to Train Your Dragon live action remake and the Apple TV Plus original film Echo Valley with Julianne Moore and Sydney Sweeney. So check that out over at obsessiveviewer.com. Also check out my solo podcast anthology, which is me talking about the Twilight Zone and other classic sci-fi anthology series. So that will do it for this episode of Tower Junkies. Once again, Kim, thank you so much for joining us, and can't wait to talk to you again. And and for us at Tower Junkies, long days and pleasant nights.
And then you have twice the number.
There we go. And now, enjoy this short clip from a recent Patreon-exclusive episode. For the full episode and more Patreon-exclusive content, sign up at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer. This movie takes what is a painful thing, what is a painful existence, and it just contextualizes it in such a way that makes you just really think about the beauty in the world. And here's the thing. In the novella, thank you for listening to Tower Junkies, a Stephen King podcast presented by ObsessiveViewer.com. This episode was produced and edited by me, Matt Hurt. If you have feedback, thoughts on our episodes, or just want to connect, you can email me at matt@obsessiveviewer.com. For more information on this show, including a full archive of our episodes and show notes, visit towerjunkiespod.com. And if you enjoyed the show, please give us a follow on social media and subscribe to us on your podcast app of choice so you never miss an episode. Also, consider rating and reviewing the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Audible to help increase our visibility and grow our community. If you want to support the show and get early access to new episodes, as well as a steady stream of exclusive episodes, you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer. For information on more podcasts presented by obsessiveviewer.com, visit obsessiveviewer.com/podcasts. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Get up to 2 months of free podcasting service with Libsyn. Check out the show notes for your promo code to get started podcasting today.